Should Kentucky's junior senator be allowed to run for president and re-election to the Senate all in the same year? Senator Rand Paul wants his name on both ballots, and a key decision allowing him to do that could come soon. Kentucky's Republican Central Committee will meet tomorrow morning in Frankfort to discuss setting up a caucus for next year. Phil Pendleton tells us what Senator Paul had to say about the process.
Kentucky's Republican Party will have their Central Committee meeting at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Their decision could open up the door for Rand Paul to be on two separate ballots for two separate elections.
Give him a good Laurel County welcome.
Rand Paul told a room full of adults and kids that he wants a new tax code and smaller government during a stop sponsored by the local Chamber of Commerce in London.
Just an argument for realizing that if government gets too big, you're having to give up your liberty or your taxes or your labor to support it.
He also says a Republican president will help solve many of those problems. Right now, he's in a crowded field for that nominee, but he also wants to stay in the re-election race for his U.S. Senate seat. A special election early next year for voters to choose their nominee is what Paul wants.
The Democrats in the state want to have it another way, but the way we've decided to be able to try to figure out a solution is by having our own caucus. It was voted unanimously by the Executive Committee in the spring, and I think we'll pass on Saturday.
A caucus could cost near $500,000. Paul has pledged that most will be covered and stopped short of saying that his campaign would pay the full price.
Many states actually collect some money on the day of the election just by passing a bag and asking people for $1 or $2. If you have 100,000 people vote and they put $1 or $2 in a bag, you actually wind up with enough money to pay for something like this.
That caucus would be in March. The primary would be in May. Rand Paul, should he lose the Republican nomination, could still run for his U.S. Senate seat in May. In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
After Senator Paul's stop at the Chamber of Commerce in London, he met up with Republican gubernatorial candidate Matt Bevin in front of dozens of supporters in Somerset. Paul told the crowd it's time for a Republican governor in Kentucky, so opportunities will stop leaving the state and businesses will start choosing Kentucky instead of favoring neighboring states. Bevin says there's a clear difference between him and Democratic candidate Jack Conway.
But if you don't think a liberal lawyer who sues businesses for a living is what Kentucky needs to lead us forward economically, well, you have another alternative.
Rand Paul told the crowd people are hungry for a government that only spends what comes in.